Audible? Okay, so thank you. So for today, we will be talking about secondary hemostasis. So when you say secondary hemostasis, as we've introduced last time, ang major players po natin dito are the coagulation factors, which are plasma components. Okay? And then we will talk about today the three different pathways in the coagulation system. We have the intrinsic, the extrinsic, and the common pathway. So before that, I've already mentioned this before that in hemostasis we have two coagulation systems. So we have the primary and the secondary. So I hope you're done with your primary hemostasis. So the major players are platelets and blood vessels. On the other hand, in the secondary hemostasis naman, we have the coagulation factors. So again, ang coagulation factors, pwede natin yang i-categorize into which are involved in the intrinsic pathway and which are involved in the extrinsic pathway. So if you remember, or if you're not yet familiar, ito po yung nag-join para ma-activate ang common pathway. So, these are the initiator of the extrinsic pathway. And then on the intrinsic pathway naman, we have the negatively charged surfaces. Ito naman po ang mag-i-initiate sa intrinsic pathway. Okay? So, we will talk about them one by one today. So, before we begin, let me introduce the different categories of proteins involved in the coagulation system. So, number one, we have the zymogens. Zymogens are inactive proteins, which needs to be activated by another protein to become serine protease. Clear? So we have the prekallikrein, factor 12, etc. Next, we have cofactors. So ang cofactors, ang role nito is to enhance or accelerate the functions of serine protease. Clear? So, halimbawa, si factor 5, it can accelerate the effect of factor 10 to 300,000 times. So, ito yung mga cofactors natin which helps your serine protease. By the way, hindi lahat ng serine protease merong cofactor. Understood? Hindi lahat. Some of them have cofactors, some doesn't have. Understood? Next, another would be this is our third category, which are called the control or regulatory proteins. So pag sinabi nating regulatory or control protein, from the word itself, regulate, control the system. So they act as a negative and positive feedback. So halimbawa, si protein C, ini-inactivate niya si factor 5A at si factor 8A. Okay? So later, we will discuss it. Basta pag sinabi nating regulatory control, from the term or from the words itself, nagre-regulate at nagko-control ng coagulation system. And finally, number 4, we have the substrate. Tandaan, ang goal po natin sa coagulation system is to generate thrombin. Bakit? Para sa non-thrombin. Kasi si thrombin, kino-convert niya yung substrate natin into fibrin. Naalala niyo po ba yung red clot ng secondary hemostasis? So, ito po ang red clot ng secondary hemostasis. Malinaw na kailangan i-convert ni thrombin into fibrin, from fibrinogen as our substrate. Understood? So, again, meron tayong tatlong coagulation pathway. Intrinsic, ito po yung nasa green. Extrinsic, ito yung red na mga shapes. And yung common po natin, yung blue. So naka-indicate po dito ano yung mga factors involved in each pathways. Understood? Now, let's talk about, balikan lang natin yung mga procoagulants na nabanggit natin, yung zymogen, control protein, yung mga cofactors na yan, okay? And the substrate. So, majority of these procoagulants are synthesized in the liver as well as in monocytes, endothelial cells, and megakaryocyte. So we can divide them again into 4, di ba? Meron tayong number 1, yung zymogen na kino-convert natin sa serine protease. Next, number 2, yung cofactor. Number 3, yung control. At number 4, yung substrate. So kung mapapansin ninyo, may mga Roman numeral numbers, right? Kasi yan ang ginagamit nating nomenclature which is recommended and standardized by the International Committee for the Standardization of Nomenclature of Blood Clotting Factors. So kapag ang Roman numeral number, for example, factor 2 to factor 2A, ito yung zymogen, ito yung serine protease. Ibig sabihin, this is inactive and this is already active. Malinaw? So once na activated na po yan, yung mga serine proteases din na yan ang nagko-convert sa ibang zymogen para maging serine protease. Klaro po ba? Okay? Now, these are the different procoagulants from factor 1 up to factor 13. So stated here are their names and their functions. Ulitin ko lang, ano-ano yung mga functions? Are they serine protease? Yung categories natin kanina, are they a cofactor, control protein ba sila, etc. So iisa-isahin po natin yan later on in the discussion. Clear? Okay, now, let's talk about the procoagulants. So, pag sinabi nating procoagulant, ibig sabihin, they are involved in the formation of clot. So, cascade of pathways po ang involved sa coagulation system. As I mentioned earlier, kailangan ma-activate natin ang extrinsic at intrinsic pathway para mag-meet sila sa common pathway para maka-generate tayo ng thrombin. At kakailanganin natin yung thrombin na yan para ma-convert si fibrinogen to fibrin. Malinaw po ba? So again, ang purpose, generate thrombin to produce fibrin. Okay. So what are serine proteases? So serine proteases are proteolytic enzymes. Anong ibig sabihin ng proteolytic enzymes? For example, okay? For example, puntahan ko lang to guys ha. Halimbawa, si factor 11A, it is already a serine protease, right? So, proteolytic enzyme siya, serine protease. So this is a proteolytic enzyme. Bakit? Kasi kinikleave niya si factor 9 para maging factor 9A. So ito ulit yung zymogen, kinleave ni factor 11A para maging another serine protease. At pag naging serine protease ulit siya, ito po, i-convert niya naman si factor 10 to factor 10A. Malinaw? So kaya po siya cascade. Kasi bawat serine protease may kino-convert na zymogen para maging another serine protease. Malinaw po ba? Okay? Now, so ano-ano po ba yung mga serine proteases natin? So meron tayong factor 2A, 7A, 9A, 10A. Actually, mame-memorize nyo yan kapag tinignan ninyo yung cascade. Okay? So, now, na-mention na natin to, si zymogen, nagiging serine protease, di ba? Pag kinleave ng another na serine protease. Okay? So, kung mapapansin nyo rito guys, from the inactive, nagiging active. So, ulitin ko lang ito po yung tinatawag nating serine protease. And tulad ng sabi ko kanina, hindi lahat ng serine proteases ay mayroong cofactor. Malinaw? Some have cofactor. Halimbawa, si 7A kailangan niya ng tissue factor. Si 9A kailangan niya ng factor 8A. Si 10A kailangan niya ng 5A. Si 11A walang cofactor yan. No? Etc. etc. So, ito naman yung substrate nila. So, this is where they act. Ito yung kino-convert nila. No? Halimbawa, si prothrombin na inactive zymogen, kapag naging active na siya na thrombin, kino-convert niya si fibrinogen to fibrin. Naalala yun? Hindi lang yan. Si thrombin may effect din siya sa factor 5, factor 8, 11, and 13, which we will discuss later on. Okay? Now, let's talk about the vitamin K-dependent prothrombin group. Ano naman po ito? So, the vitamin K-dependent or the prothrombin group has two types. Mga procoagulants or ito yung mga tinatawag nating serine protease at may mga regulatory proteins din. So, anong common denominator sa mga to? They have similar structural characteristics. Okay, that's the one. That's so number one. And number two, they are all dependent to vitamin K during synthesis. Bakit? Kasi pag walang vitamin K, nagiging non-functional sila. So kapag may vitamin K, they become functional. Kapag negative ang vitamin K, nagiging non-functional sila. Klaro po ba yon? So, ano ang effect ng vitamin K sa kanila? So, by the way, etong vitamin K is a quinone na nakukuha natin from green leafy vegetables. Tapos, kino-convert po yan ng mga intestinal normal flora natin such as the Bacteroides fragilis and the E. coli. So, minomodify niya po itong mga proteins na to. Okay? It modifies these proteins para makagain ng negative charge. At pag meron na silang negative charge, they can now bind to calcium. At pag meron na pong calcium, they can bind to phospholipid. Okay? Which is later, malalaman nyo, very important para makabuo tayo ng mga tenases. So, later we will discuss ano ba yung mga tenases na yan. Malinaw po, ulitin natin pag itong mga proteins na to, merong vitamin K, nagiging functional sila. Understood? So, yung iba dito, important dito yung factor 7, si factor 10, okay? And factor 9. Part po kasi ito nung tinatawag nating tenase complex. Okay? Later, i-discuss natin na kapag may vitamin K, nagigain sila ng negative charge, nagbabind sa calcium at nagbabind sa phospholipid at nagiging tenase. Understood? Okay. Now, ito po yung mga tenase or complexes na sinasabi ko. Naalala niyo yung si factor 7A, factor 9A, at factor 10. Lahat sila vitamin K dependent serine protease. Okay? Tapos, dahil vitamin K dependent factor sila, nagigain sila ng negative charge, 'di ba? So anong nagbabind? Nagbabind si calcium. At kapag may calcium ka na, ano ulit ang magbabind? Phospholipid. Ma'am, ano po itong tissue factor? Factor 8, factor 5A. These are cofactors of the vitamin K dependent serine proteases. Okay? Saan po natin yan makikita? Ito po sila. Here and here. So meron po tayo sa extrinsic pathway, meron tayo sa intrinsic pathway, at meron tayo sa common pathway. So anong target ng bawat tenases? It activates not only factor 10 sa extrinsic hindi lang factor 10, pero may effect din siya dito sa factor 9 at factor 9A. Klaro yon. Next, yung intrinsic tenase naman, eto lang 10 to 10A. At yung prothrombinase natin ay ang effect niya sa prothrombin, which converts your factor 2 to 2A. Tandaan ha, yung mga target ng bawat complexes. Clear? Next, anong mangyayari kapag or anong pwedeng maka-inhibit sa vitamin K? Ang vitamin K pwedeng mawala sa system natin kapag di tayo kumakain ng mga vitamin-rich food, yung mga green leafy vegetables. Okay? Next, nag-administer ka ng antibiotic na nag-sterilize or pumatay dun sa mga intestinal normal flora natin, such as the Bacteroides fragilis and also your Escherichia coli. So remember, very important sila para ma-convert po natin yung active na vitamin K. And if you are taking oral anticoagulant therapy such as coumarin and coumarin or warfarin. Okay? Coumarin drug is a form of warfarin. Naintindihan? Okay, mga oral anticoagulants po yan. Now, these are the cofactors. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, bawat, hindi lahat ng serine proteases may cofactor. No? But some of them have. So ano ulit ang function ng cofactor? Ene-enhance yung action of serine proteases. So we have some. So we have the tissue factor sa factor 7A, 5 to 10A, 8 to 9A. Naalala nyo kanina. Okay? Ito yung ating mga tenases. Other than that, meron din tayong high molecular weight kininogen para sa 12 at prekallikrein, thrombomodulin, etc. etc. So, i-discuss po natin sila isa-isa. Unahin natin yung thrombomodulin. Okay, saan po ba dyan si thrombomodulin? Okay, si thrombomodulin is from the endothelial cells. It is a transmembrane protein from the endothelial cells. So, ang thrombomodulin ay cofactor ng thrombin. So, ilagay natin dito. So, we have So, si thrombomodulin ay cofactor ng thrombin. Okay, now, once na nagkaroon ng ganitong complex, makaka-form tayo ng protein C. Anong effect ng protein C? It will inactivate factor 8 and factor 5A. Klaro po ba? It will inactivate your factor 5A and factor 8A. So, tinatawag po natin si protein C as regulatory or control protein kasi nga po, siya yung negative feedback. Hindi pwedeng sobra-sobra yung factor 8 natin. Hindi pwedeng sobra-sobra yung factor 5 natin kasi continuously magfo-form tayo ng clot. That's one cofactor. Next, another cofactor is your tissue factor. Ito po. Understood? So, if you remember, ang tissue factor, okay, ma'am nabanggit mo kanina, tissue factor also initiate the extrinsic pathway. That's correct. Bakit? Kasi ang tissue factor po ay galing sa blood vessel. Naalala niyo yung stimulus ng hemostasis? Di po ba ay blood vessel injury? So, syempre, kapag ka nasira yung blood vessels natin na merong fibroblast at smooth muscles, naalala niyo to? Okay? Sa externa ng blood vessel wall, may nare-release na tissue factor. At pag na-release yung tissue factor na yan because of the blood vessel injury, may i-initiate niya ngayon ang extrinsic pathway. So it is not only capable of initiating your extrinsic pathway but also serves as the cofactor for the same factor na kinonvert niya into an active form. So your tissue factor will convert, di ba, your factor 7 to 7A. Pagkatapos yung i-convert yan into a active, no, serine protease, it will also serve as cofactor. So technically, dalawa yung purpose niya. So nag-initiate na siya, nag-initiate na siya ng factor ng extrinsic pathway by converting factor 7 to 7A at naging cofactor pa siya ng factor 7A. Understood? Okay? So remember, anong sabi natin dito sa tenase? Kapag ang factor ay vitamin K dependent, ano nangyayari? Nagigain siya ng negative charge. Pag nag-gain siya ng negative charge, magbabind ang calcium. Pag nag-bind si calcium, magbabind sa alin? Phospholipid. So eto na ngayon yung tinatawag natin na extrinsic tenase na magko-convert sa alin? It will convert your factor 10 and factor 9A. Klaro po ba yon? So that is your extrinsic pathway already. Clear? Now, let's move on to another cofactor, your factor 5. Saan naman natin makikita si factor 5? Nandito po. Yan. Nasa common yan. So it is a soluble plasma protein and makikita po natin yan sa alpha granules. You remember what alpha granule is? That is a cellular organelle, 'di ba? Sa platelet natin. So it is the cofactor of your factor 10A, which is again another vitamin K dependent serine protease. Remember? So, para saan ang cofactor na to? So, katulad ng sabi ko kanina sa introduction, it can accelerate, no, the action of your factor 10, which is the conversion of your prothrombin to thrombin into more than 300,000-fold. Understood? Pero ang tanong, ma'am, bakit wala pong nag-activate dito sa system or wala pong naka-indicate dito kung sino yung nag-activate sa factor 5? 'Di ba? Saan galing yung factor 5 na yan? Actually, galing na po yan sa mga small amount ng thrombin. So si thrombin, it activates your factor 5 to become factor 5A. Ano pa nga? Saan pa nga may effect ang thrombin? Actually, si thrombin din ang nag-a-activate kay factor 8, which is another cofactor. Okay? Malinaw? May effect din si thrombin kay factor 11A. Ina-activate niya rin po yan. Meron din siyang effect kay factor 13. Kino-convert niya rin po yan. Okay? And dito rin sa fibrinogen to fibrin. Malinaw po ba? Okay? Now, if you remember, anong sabi natin kanina? Sino ang nag-inactivate kay factor 5A? Naalala yun kanina. Ito po yun. So si thrombomodulin, another cofactor, magbabind kay thrombin para mag-form ng protein C, both inactivating your factor 8 and factor 5A. Understood? Okay? So, next, let's move on to your factor 8. So again, si factor 8 po ay cofactor ng factor 11A. Understood? Itong 9A. Yang 9A na yan ay vitamin K dependent. Remember? Kaya po, pag nag-bind yan, nagiging negative ang kanyang charge, magbabind kay calcium at kay phospholipid, which will then convert your factor 10 to 10A. Okay? Next, another cofactor is your high molecular weight kininogen. So your high molecular weight kininogen is a cofactor to factor 12 and your prekallikrein. Ito naman po siya, prekallikrein. Okay? So, these are your contact group. So mamaya i-discuss po natin yan. Ito yung tinatawag nating contact group. So tandaan mo na, high molecular weight kininogen ay cofactor ng factor 12A at ng prekallikrein sa intrinsic complex naman. Okay? Next. So pag-usapan na po natin si factor 8, no? So tapos na tayo kay factor 8 naman. These are produced not only by the liver but also the endothelial cells in the lungs and other tissue. Tandaan ninyo, kapag free siya sa plasma, it's unstable. Kaya kailangan niyang mag-bind kay von Willebrand factor. Again, saan po natin or saan or sino yung nag-activate kay factor 8? Remember your thrombin. Here. It's not only involved in the activation of factor 5 to factor 5A, but also involved in the activation of factor 8 to 8A. Naintindihan? Okay. Now, alam na natin kung sino yung nag-activate, no? Your factor 8A, 'di ba, nagbabind siya kay, 'di ba cofactor siya ng factor 9A. Si factor 9A, ulitin ko lang, vitamin K dependent serine protease. So magiging negative charge siya, magbabind kay calcium at sa phospholipid. And all together, magiging intrinsic tenase. Anong target? Factor 10 to factor 10A. Klaro po ba yon? Okay? Now, katulad ng factor 5, mai-inactivate din po siya ng protein C. Not only factor 8A, but also 5A. Malinaw. Next, after that, okay, tandaan, your factor 8 is found in the X chromosome. So, na-encode po yan sa ating X chromosome together with factor 9. At another thing to remember for factor 8, ito yung pinakauna na deteriorate. Okay? First to deteriorate among all other coagulation proteins. Pinakauna pong nawawala. Halimbawa, nag-store tayo ng blood. So first na mawawala dyan ay ang factor 8. Understood? Okay, now, let's talk about your von Willebrand factor. Ulitin ko lang bakit i-discuss natin to dito kasi nga one of the functions of the von Willebrand factor is to cleave, no? Or bound with your factor 8. So what is von Willebrand factor? So it is a large multimeric glycoprotein na nagpa-participate sa primary hemostasis and sa secondary hemostasis. Sa secondary hemostasis, involved po siya sa transportation ng factor 8. Saan ba galing ang von Willebrand factor? Sa endothelial cell, megakaryocyte, sa mga platelets, no, nakastore yan sa alpha granule, sa endothelial cell, nasa Weyl Palade bodies. So these are degraded by the von Willebrand factor cleaving protease such as the ADAM-TS13. So this is an acute phase reactant, ibig sabihin it increases whenever there is presence of inflammation. Okay? Tumataas po ito, no, ang level ng von Willebrand factor kapag ka merong inflammation na nadedetect sa system natin. Naintindihan? So, these are the receptor sites. So, if you remember, your von Willebrand factor has a binding site for the GP1B95, which is in your platelet membrane. Also, GP2B3A involves in platelet adhesion and platelet aggregation. Meron din po siyang binding site para sa collagen. Naalala niyo po ba yon, yung nagsasandwich si von Willebrand factor sa collagen at sa platelet? If you remember that. Okay, and also, kung ito yung role niya sa primary hemostasis, ito naman yung role niya sa secondary hemostasis. Di po ba, nagbabind po siya sa factor 8. Kasi kung si factor 8, pakalat-kalat lang yan sa plasma, anong mangyayari? Magiging unstable. Ibig sabihin, mawawala na lang po si factor 8. Kaya para ma-stabilize natin, kailangan niyang mag-bind kay von Willebrand factor. Clear? Okay. Now, let's move on to the contact factors. So ano-ano po ba yung contact factors? So we have the factor 12A, we have the high molecular weight kininogen, we have the pre-kallikrein, and we have the kallikrein. Okay? So this is activated by contact with negatively charged surfaces. Again, paano po na-activate or na-i-initiate ang intrinsic? Dahil dito. Di ba ang nag-i-initiate sa extrinsic or extrinsic pathway? Tissue factor. Dito naman, ang nag-i-initiate sa intrinsic pathway is the negatively charged surfaces. Understood? Now, once na na-activate na po yan, nagkakaroon po tayo ng factor 12. Okay? Na-activate po si factor 12 to 12A. So pag meron ka ng 12A, ayan, si 12A magiging initiator or activator ng pre-kallikrein to become kallikrein. Ito po yung cofactor niya, si high molecular weight kininogen. Ulitin ko ha, ano ang nag-i-initiate sa intrinsic? Yung negatively charged surface. Kino-convert niya si 12 to 12A. Pag meron ka ng 12A, ma-activate na ngayon yung contact group natin. Si 12A, together with the high molecular weight kininogen, kino-convert natin si pre-kallikrein to kallikrein. Kapag meron ka ng kallikrein, it will further activate more factor 12. Naintindihan? So, nag-start muna dito, tapos ma-activate si contact group para mas marami pa tayong ma-activate na factor 12A. Malinaw po ba? At ano pa ang another function ng kallikrein? Si kallikrein ang nagko-convert din sa high molecular weight kininogen para maging bradykinin. I-discuss po natin yan later. Naintindihan? Basta tandaan sa ngayon, kapag meron ka ng 12A, na-activate ang contact group, nagko-convert si pre-kallikrein to kallikrein, at pag meron ng kallikrein, mako-convert pa natin ang mas maraming 12A. Naiintindihan? Okay? So, eto po yung mga serine proteases sa contact factor ha, si pre-kallikrein at saka si factor 12. Tapos cofactor po nila ang high molecular weight kininogen. Pag nagkaroon ba tayo ng deficiency ng mga contact group, no, ng mga factor sa contact group, will that lead to bleeding disorder? No. Bakit hindi? Kasi guys, may extrinsic pathway pa naman tayo para mag-convert ng factor 10 to 10A para makapag-generate ng thrombin. Naintindihan? So, hindi po siya solely needed para ma-activate din ang intrinsic. Kasi sa intrinsic, ang kailangan mo yung negatively charged. 'Di ba? Kumbaga, ano lang naman siya, additional lang naman siya na activator ng factor 12. So, meron naman na talagang nag-activate kay factor 12. Naintindihan? O kung hindi man ma-activate yung factor 12, may extrinsic pathway pa naman. So, kung halimbawang nagkaroon yung patient ng deficiency sa factor contact group, hindi po yan magli-lead to bleeding disorder. Pero, mapoprolong niya yung mga laboratory tests natin. Understood? Okay. Now, pag-usapan natin si 12A. Si 12A is a glycoprotein that is circulating bound to high molecular weight kininogen. Naintindihan? Ulitin ko ha, nag-circulate together with your high molecular weight kininogen. So anong ginagawa ng factor 12A? Kino-convert niya si pre-kallikrein to kallikrein, which there cleave your high molecular weight kininogen to bradykinin. So, etong complex din na to, the high molecular weight kininogen, pre-K factor 12A complex will further activate your factor 11 to factor 11A. At para sa ng 11A, i-convert niya naman si factor 9 to 9A. Clear? Okay. So ano ba itong mga kinins na to? So ito po yung mga low molecular weight series of amino acid. So si pre-kallikrein, kallikrein, kininogen at si kinin. Si kininogen, si high molecular weight kininogen at si bradykinin. So ito po yung kanilang mga functions. Okay? Chemotaxis, sensation ng pain, nagmi-mediate ng inflammatory response associated sa vasodilation, hypotension, ini-induce niya ang contraction ng smooth muscles, at syempre, ina-activate niya ang intrinsic pathway. Okay, so your pre-kallikrein, part po yan ng pre-contact group natin. Okay, complex with your high molecular weight kininogen, converting your pre-kallikrein to kallikrein. Si kallikrein naman, kino-convert niya si high molecular weight kininogen to to bradykinin and also further converting factor 12 to 12A. Okay? And then your 11A, serine protease yan na nagko-convert kay factor 9 to factor 9A. So pag meron ka ng 9A, ano pong mangyayari? Okay? Makaka-form na tayo ng, anong tawag natin dito? Intrinsic tenase. Understood? At ano pa yung isa pang nag-a-activate sa factor 11 to 11A other than the 12A? Yung complex. Naalala po? Ano pa? Actually, si thrombin. Naalala nyo kanina si thrombin. Hindi lang po ang target niyan ay si 8 at si 5. Target niya rin po si 11A. Understood? Hindi lang si 11A, pati na rin ang 13A. Pati na rin yung substrate natin na fibrinogen 2 fibrin. So kasama si 11A sa target ng thrombin. Okay? Next. Let's now talk about thrombin. Thrombin is also a serine protease. Bakit? Kasi po, galing siya sa prothrombin para maging activated thrombin. Naintindihan? So, this cleaves the FPA B and the A from the alpha and beta chain of the fibrinogen molecule forming the fibrin. Okay? So, eto pong FPA at FPB, ito ang marker na na-activate na natin ang thrombin. Okay? So pag meron na tayong nakitang FPA at FPB, meron na yang indication na na-activate na through the coagulation system ang thrombin. Okay? So, tandaan, marami ang function ng thrombin. Involved siya sa coagulation. Bakit kamo? Kasi ina-activate niya ang 5, ina-activate niya ang 8, 9, at 13. Do you remember? So, ito po si thrombin. So, may effect siya dito, dito, kay factor 11A, factor 8A, kay factor 5A, at kay factor 13. So factor 13 is very important to stabilize the fibrin clot. So di ba may na-form na tayong fibrin kanina. So i-cross-link niya yan para meron kang ma-form na mas matibay na fibrin clot. Next, ang thrombin din involved, di ba nabanggit din ang thrombin sa inyo sa aggregation ng platelet. Okay? So involved din siya sa primary. Next, actually involved din siya sa regulation. Paano nangyaring regulation? Naalala niyo po ba si thrombomodulin? Di ba cofactor siya ng thrombin? Ano nga yung na-form? Protein C. At si protein C, ini-inactivate niya si factor 8 at si factor 5. Di po ba? So, next, it is also involved in controlling your fibrinolysis. So, madidiscuss po natin ninyo pala sa mga control proteins, si TAFI, okay? Which is involved naman in suppressing the fibrinolysis. Okay? So, anyway, this will be further discussed soon, yung control system ng coagulation system. Okay? Next, pag-usapan natin yung fibrinogen group. Yung fibrinogen group, sila factor 1, 5, 8, and 13. 13 po yan Bakit natin sila tinawag na fibrinogen group? Pare-parehas po kasi sila na matataas ang molecular weight. Understood? And pinaka-labile sa lahat ng factors. Again, ano nga yung pinakaunang mawawala? Magdi-deteriorate yung factor 8. 'Di ba? Bakit? Kasi mabilis po silang ma-consume in the coagulation system. Understood? Okay? So, this is the only group that act as a substrate. Ito po yung substrate natin. Remember? Si fibrinogen. So, kino-convert po natin yan to fibrin. So, ito po rin yung mga makikita natin sa alpha granule. For example, your factor 13 and your factor 8. Okay? Next. So, ang fibrinogen, involved yan sa clot production. Kino-convert natin to fibrin para makaproduce tayo ng clot. Involved din ang fibrinogen sa platelet aggregation. Okay? Sa primary hemostasis. So, it links the GP2B3A sa mga fibrinogen receptor. I hope that was discussed to you in your primary hemostasis. Okay? So what is a fibrinogen? So malaking protein po ito, 340,000 Daltons. Okay? Synthesized of course in the liver. So this is the most concentrated of all the plasma anticoagulant. Acute phase reactant din siya. Ibig sabihin, tumataas whenever there is inflammation. So yung level po nito sa blood natin, no, nag-i-increase whenever there is inflammation. So ang normal value po natin ng fibrinogen protein is between 200 to 400. Okay? So naa-absorb, tinatransport, nire-release ng alpha granule. So mirror image po yan. So meron po tayong half consisting of the non-identical. Okay, non-identical polypeptides ha, non-identical polypeptides. Okay? So, ultimate substrate, okay? Ito pa po yung iba pang other plasma procoagulant. Okay, so if you remember, yung calcium, very important yan para mabuo natin yung mga complexes. Okay? So, of course, we have your factor 13A. So, ito po siya. Sinong nag-activate po nito? Si thrombin. So, thrombin activates factor 13 to factor 13A. So, dito po natin sila makikita, megakaryocyte, monocyte, and liver. So, yung alpha subunit niya, makikita natin sa megakaryocyte, yung N-monocyte, yung beta subunit naman ng factor 13, makikita natin sa liver. Again, ina-activate ng thrombin. Ang purpose niya, mag-link ng fibrin polymers para mas maging stable ang fibrin clot. So this is also considered a transglutaminase. Ibig pong sabihin, kinakatalyze niya yung formation ng covalent bonds, yung carboxyl terminal ng gamma chain from the adjacent D-domain ng fibrin polymer. Ibig lang sabihin yan, it stabilizes your fibrin clot, factor 13A. Okay? And these are the other procoagulants pa. We have the fibronectin, plasminogen. By the way ha, during the process of the fibrin formation, dito po, nakakabit na dyan si plasminogen, which is important later on in the fibrinolysis. Okay? I-discuss po sa inyo ang fibrinolysis. At malalaman ninyo na during coagulation system pa lang, secondary hemostasis pa lang, nakakabit na agad si plasminogen kay fibrin. Malinaw po ba? So, i-discuss yan further in your fibrinolysis. Okay? So, ulitin lang po natin ang coagulation system. Summarize po natin. So, again, anong nag-i-initiate sa extrinsic pathway? Si tissue factor. Kapag may tissue factor ka na, mako-convert na natin yung inactive 7, factor 7 to 7A. Si 7A, no, co-factor niya si tissue factor. Tama po ba? At si factor 7A, dahil vitamin K dependent factor siya, magiging negative ang kanyang charge. Magbabind kay calcium. Pag may calcium na, magbabind kay phospholipid. Anong ina-activate? Ina-activate niya si factor 10 at si factor 9A. Clear? Punta tayo sa intrinsic pathway. So ano yung nag-i-initiate? Negatively charged surface. Pag may negatively charged surface ka na, magkakaroon na tayo ng conversion ng factor 12 to 12A. Pag meron ka ng 12A, magiging part na siya ng contact group. Right? Iko-convert niya na ngayon together with your high molecular weight kininogen si pre-kallikrein to kallikrein. Pag meron ka ng kallikrein, dalawa ang function niyan, iko-convert niya lalo yung mas maraming factor 12A at iko-convert niya rin si high molecular weight kininogen to bradykinin. So pag meron ka ng 12A, iko-convert niya na si 9 to 9A. Together with another which is your factor 12A pre-kallikrein and high molecular weight kininogen complex. So pag meron ka ng 11A, meron ka ng mako-convert na 9 to 9A. At pag meron ka ng 9A, which is again a vitamin K dependent factor, cofactor niyan si factor 8A, magiging negative na yung charge na magbabind na kay calcium. Pag meron ng calcium, magbabind kay phospholipid. So meron ka na ngayong intrinsic tenase na magko-convert kay factor 10. Yan lang naman ang target niyan, si factor 10. Next, pag meron ka ng factor 10, no, mako-convert na ng extrinsic at intrinsic tenase to factor 10A. At si factor 10A, ano ang cofactor niyan? Si 7A. Vitamin K dependent factor to vitamin K dependent factor ang 10A, di ba? So magiging negatively charged, magbabind kay calcium at phospholipid na magko-convert naman ng prothrombin to thrombin. At pag meron na tayong thrombin, mako-convert na si fibrinogen to fibrin na mai-stabilize ng factor 13 na activated by thrombin. Right? So pag meron ka ng 13A, mai-stabilize na ngayon si fibrin. Malinaw po ba? Okay? So that will end our discussion for this session. May tanong, clarification, or question?